Welcome back to the Watch Before You Die podcast. My name is Brian and I'm here with Ben. You'll notice that this week we are missing our comedic relief, Justin. He's got some busyness going on in his life that he wasn't able to join us for this episode, but we wanted to get together. This week we watched Ace in the Hole, or The Grand Carnival, was the name of the movie we watched. And there's a little confusion around the title of the movie. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I'm curious, Ben, what did you think of this movie? Why don't we talk ratings?
Ratings. I got this at a 8.0.
8.0 from Ben. That's a pretty good rating from you.
Yeah,
There haven't been too many that high for you.
That's on the higher end. Yeah, it's the higher end for me, for sure.
Pretty good.
What about you? What do you got this one at?
I got this one at a 6.5.
Oh, 6.5. Actually,
6.5.
Much lower than I thought you'd have it.
Yep. So,
okay.
Since we don't have Justin this week, our overall score averages out to a 7.3. So pretty midline movie for us. Let's go ahead and jump into like spoiler territory, full review territory.
Yeah.
Tell me about this movie. What'd you like about it?
What I liked about it first and foremost is that there's not very many modern movies like it, I feel like. And what stood out to me about it was the fact that the main character is a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's really no way around it. Like he is the villain.
Yep.
And there's not really a redeeming quality to him at all. He's just kind of a bad person all around. And what I thought was interesting is, like, in modern movies, for the most part, you know, there's always some type of redeeming arc towards the end of the movie to kind of hook you in and go like, oh, he's kind of like the rest of us, just a little bit darker or with struggles with his demons or whatever. But like, there's absolutely no redeeming qualities for him, no redeeming arc. And I found that fascinating because I for a long time I pondered what kind of modern movie really tries this anymore, and I couldn't think of anything. I could not find a single movie where I was like, the main character is the bad guy, and that's it, that's the end of it.
I kept some pretty scribbly notes when I watched this movie, and one of the things that I wrote in my notes was it's very Breaking Bad in that way. If you've watched the series Breaking Bad,
never saw Breaking Bad.
Well, not to completely spoil anything.
I'm not going to watch it.
Breaking Bad is a story about Walter White. And at the beginning, you're really rooting for him because he's a man. He finds out he has cancer and he starts cooking meth in order to make a bunch of money for his family before he dies, because he knows that he's dying. And by the end of the series, things start to shift in such a way that you're thinking, am I cheering for Walter White anymore? Am I happy for him to win? He's kind of become the bad guy, and I don't know how to feel about that. We also had one movie on our list which we all detested, which was Last Chance for a Slow Dance, episode 8, which was how to not do this. Like, it was a bad character that nobody was rooting for, but it was a bad movie that nobody wanted to watch.
That's exactly what it was. It wasn't comparable in the fact that it was just such a bad movie that I couldn't even get interested. Whereas I feel like this movie really hooked me in pretty quickly.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe it's a black and white movie thing. They seem to hook me in more. They seem to be a little bit more engaging.
Well, I also noted down, I feel like the dialogue in old movies, they just write it to be very snappy. It's kind of quippy. And I don't know if that's like necessarily a great thing or a bad thing or whatever, but it just feels like everybody's kind of got a one-liner. Like when he's getting hired for the paper, like the boss has little quippies and like right back and forth. He's just giving it back and forth. It's just kind of an interesting way, but I agree. The lighting is fantastic. I think a lot of the acting in the movies is really good.
I thought it was really good too. Yeah. I feel like they also put a lot more effort into side characters. Like I feel like they put more effort into, like, we need somebody who actually feels like they're a part of the movie. And in fact, it's one of my complaints about, like, so I've started I don't watch movies much anymore other than for this, and I don't watch a lot of TV much anymore, but I've kind of started watching some here and there. And in a lot of modern pieces, films, video, TV, it feels like the side characters are just not very good. Like they're either totally underdeveloped or the acting is so bad that it stands out, like they feel out of place in the show almost.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like in a lot of these old movies, it feels like everybody is meant to be there. Like
Mm-hmm.
even down to like I think about the guy and his family who were like the first ones on the scene. And if you haven't seen the movie, the basic premise is a guy gets stuck in a mountain cave in, and a reporter tries to make a big story out of it and revive his career.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this family that comes, they're like the first ones to the attraction. And it felt like, I think it's the same thing I said about like Who Shot Liberty Valance. It feels real to me, like
Mm-hmm.
that you're kind of a part of it, that you could have been there, that it could have happened almost. And so they kind of felt like a normal family that would fit into the story. And it was, I don't know, I just thought it was really good. I was quite surprised by it. That being said, I think I was more in. I enjoyed the atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
the scene, the filming more than I enjoyed the actual like full premise of the movie.
Sure.
Like I never really got hooked in on the fact that like this guy stuck in a mountain, because I don't think it was as big of a plot point as the movie would want you to believe it is.
Right. Right.
Like the main plot point is this guy is horrible and he's going to do anything to get his job back.
Yep. Yep.
And the mountain was just the way to do that.
That was part of the reason I disliked the movie a little bit, and part of the notes of why I marked this down a little bit
Okay.
is because I don't understand why there would be a carnival because the guy is stuck. Like, I get why it makes news. I get why people would be curious. I even get why people would drive out to be like, oh, I know where that is, or we can get close to that and see what's going on. But I really don't understand at all why they're like people would stay or go to a carnival or celebrate or whatever outside when there's like loud digging going on to get this guy for, you know what I mean? Like, the premise of the movie is like, I understand that it was a different time. It was made in 1951. So it's an old movie, but I just don't understand why there would ever be any kind of fanfare or like huge like attraction to being like, let's go see the stuck guy. Like, I think it's just more, it doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, that's fair.
That mixed in with I really didn't like the wife. She was written to be unlikable. Leo's wife
She was unlikable.
had plans to leave him anyway, and then only sticks around because her husband turns into a bit of a sideshow attraction, or a bit of like a captures the zeitgeist, and
it.
everybody's coming to her restaurant and her shops and making her money, so she sticks around just for that. And then as soon as she sees it going south, she splits and hits the road. She was written to be unlikable. I didn't really like her acting that part, and I might be wrong about that. Like, maybe she was acting it so well that I disliked her, or I disliked her because she's acting that part. I'm not sure. But wasn't my favorite. And then I was also confused. I don't know. She was written to be flighty and kind of whatever, but it was weird to me that when she was flirting with him and he was so like brash and rude with her and like push her away and stuff like that. Chuck, the reporter, not Leo. And then she like stabs him with scissors, and somehow that's the thing that kills him. Like, he dies from a scissor stab. I don't know. It's just confusing. But yeah.
I think that's fair. I do think it definitely played into a lot of like I think part of what we miss watching it now is like it played into a lot of the tropes of that era and day. Like, I mean, I think if you were to probably go compare a lot of stuff from the 1950s that was made, you're going to have similar female characters written that way, similar racist undertones. I mean, there was definitely a lot of that. Similar, smart guys and dumb guys kind of acts. Because I think we saw, I mean, I think if you, with the exception of the female character, I think, you kind of see that in Liberty Valance as well. Some of the same similar undertones of macho man and stupid man, racist undertones, a lot, comedic relief. So they are similar in that regard. I think we just have grown unaccustomed to that kind of storytelling. And definitely, I think, like, to your point, she was probably my least favorite part of the movie. She definitely brought down the score just because it did feel in some ways like a very strange character.
It was strange. And maybe, I mean, like I said, maybe that was intentional and she was doing a great job, but it took me out a little bit.
Yeah.
One last thing I will add is I had to look up, like, why was there this confusion with the name of the movie? Why do some places call it The Big Carnival and some places call it Ace in the Hole? So I was like, let's find out why that name is what it is or how that happened. And what it was the director of the movie tried to change the name of the movie right before it released. And there's a good line in the movie, now that we're in spoiler territory, like Ace in the Hole.
Yeah.
Ace in the Hole is actually said in the movie. That's a line that's like, we got an ace in the hole here, because it's literally Leo trapped in a cave, right? So we got an ace in the hole. The Big Carnival was to reference the big party that's going on outside waiting for Leo to get rescued. I think the Ace in the Hole is a much better title for the movie, but maybe it gave too much away. I'm not sure why the director tried to change it. So he tried to change it to The Big Carnival, but almost everybody calls it Ace in the Hole because it's said in the movie. It's a better fit for the title, and that's kind of where the confusion comes from. So that's why there's two names for this movie. I also got two other pieces of trivia that kind of made me chuckle. One of them was it was a critical and commercial failure when it came out, but somehow it's made it on all these like prestigious lists of like greatest movies of all time.
Interesting.
And then one of the reasons that critics of the time didn't like the movie was it portrayed the news and police as corrupt and that could be bought. And they were like, we shouldn't show the news and police that way. And like in 2023, we're like, yeah, okay, I understand that. Like, I understand
seems
how
accurate.
They would spin it this way.
Yeah. So that feels fair. Yeah, that feels fair to me.
So that was some trivia I came up with from this movie, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Overall, like I said, I scored it pretty high. I don't know if I just like some of these older movies a little bit better. I do know for a fact about myself that like when you get into, late or maybe early 80s, even into like the mid 90s, I start to enjoy movies less because that's when you start to see like the use of special effects and stuff, and it comes across poorly in film now. Whereas like the further back you go, everything that they're showing is fairly legit, or they've created smaller sets to make it possible. So I think that's why I enjoy them more. They feel more coherent as a thought comparative to like 80s and 90s films where they tried to do some really fantastic stuff, definitely, but like doesn't come across in modern film now because they create whole movies on MacBooks now. So it's just different. But I enjoyed it. I was hoping we would get Justin's score because I would have loved to have seen where he kind of placed this one, just because it is a very, as you saw, Brian and I scores are pretty different in the grand scheme of things. But that's my final thoughts on this movie, and I'm ready to get the next one if you're ready to get the next one.
Let's go to it. If Justin watches this movie and gives us a score, we will update the sheet and that will update the overall score. But let's go ahead and push forward for the next one. So every week that we watch a new movie, we roll for a new movie as well. We have 1,234 movies remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4. And our new movie is going to be number 220, another low one.
Yeah, it's really low.
That's a low number.
I don't remember what this one was, so I'm gonna guess lower. I'm gonna say 1940s.
Yep. So our last number was 249, so this one's older. 220 is
1948 is what I'm going with.
You nailed it. 1948. The Pale Face is the name of the movie.
Pale Face.
The Pale Face.
And you said it was a 1948 film.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get the deets for us real quick here. 1948, The Pale Face. It says, oh my gosh, Calamity Jane is working undercover for the U.S. government trying to capture a gun runner named Terrace in exchange for a pardon for her previous misdoings.
Interesting. So it's
starring Jane Russell and Robert Armstrong.
I think you might be looking at are you looking at a 1922 movie or the 1948 one? Because I see one with Bob Hope.
1948 is what I'm looking at. Jane Russell and Bob Hope. Yeah, okay. Bob Hope's also in this one. Yeah, cool. I don't know why. I was also just reading the Google thing. So
sure.
I think Robert Armstrong might be the antagonist in this movie. So
it looks like It looks like it's available for rent on Apple TV, Amazon Prime, Google Play, YouTube Video, places like that. So
Okay.
This might be a
Yeah.
renter.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, and I think we should try plugging this. If you like watching the movies and you maybe want to join us on the journey, we would love to set up a Discord. Sometimes we're able to find these movies on for instance, I think we found this most recent one on the University of Oregon's library, digital library, where we could just watch it for free. So, if you'd like to join us on the journey and you want to watch it and you want to join a Discord, we'll put a link in the description, and you can come and join us, and that way we might be able to save you some time and effort when we find the movie. You can also watch the movie.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I look forward to seeing this one. Maybe it'll be another high rating for me, or maybe it'll be terrible.
Maybe if it's in black and white, you'll love it again.
Yeah, I love a good black and white, I guess. So.
No, I mean, recently I've been more impressed with some of the black and white movies we've been watching. They've been really good. So
same.
All right. I think that's all we got for this week. So Big Carnival, or Ace in the Hole, I think is a overall pretty recommended movie. I think it's a pretty good watch. And then, yeah, get a hold of the Paleface and watch it before next week's episode, and we'll be happy to see you then.
All right.